they're suing me for something I didn't do. Like, on God, it's just the most bullshit thing. And I literally had to pay them a lot of money.
Jake Paul just got smacked down by Mike Tyson, and let's be real, this is the end of the road for him. Up until now, we could stomach his trash talk, his constant need to hog the spotlight, but the moment he crossed the line by humiliating Tyson, he signed his own career's death warrant. Sure, he's been minding his own business, chasing fame like it's on sale, but what he's done now.
But yeah, and then I wake up the next day and like have a phone call like with my lawyers for one of the lawsuits.
There's no coming back from this one, folks. If he had just stuck to fighting guys his own age like Ryan Garcia or Devin Haney, maybe we wouldn't be watching his career nosedive like this. But no, Jake decided to play with the big fishes Tyson Canelo Alvarez, and now he's reaping the consequences when you swim with the sharks. Don't be surprised when you get bitten.
An example of like Jake Paul.
And Jake Paul, the YouTube star turned controversial boxer, thought he could do whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted, but reality hit him hard and fast. It all went down while Jake was partying in his private penthouse, soaking in the sun, and likely enjoying the feeling of being untouchable. What he didn't know was that the long arm of the law was about to reach out and snatch him from his little slice of paradise.
Oh, told you, pussy. Must be your first time.
The police didn't bother waiting for Jake to stroll back onto the sand. No, they went straight for him, cutting through the waves like sharks closing in on their prey. And there's no escape when the American police are involved. It's almost laughable to think he believed he could outrun them. Even the dead can't dodge the law in this country, let alone a guy like Jake Paul. As the authorities closed in on Jake, the party atmosphere evaporated then. Music, the laughter, the carefree vibes, all gone in an instant. What was left was the cold, hard reality that Jake Paul was facing something far more serious than he ever anticipated. The arrest wasn't just about breaking the law. It was a public spectacle, a dramatic moment that marked the beginning of the end for Jake's larger-than-life persona.
Come on over here.
For so long, Jake Paul has been the guy who seemed to get away with everything. His antics, his controversies, they only seemed to make him more popular. But this was different. This time, Jake wasn't in control of the narrative. This time, he was the one being chased, the one being taken down. The image of him being pulled out of the water, surrounded by police, is a stark contrast to the invincible, untouchable figure he tried to portray. It's the moment where the facade cracked, revealing a man who could no longer dodge the consequences of his actions. So what exactly did Jake Paul do that's got everyone buzzing? Well, let me cut to the chase and spill the tea right here. Jake went and breached a contract, and not just any contract. No, this was the big one, the golden ticket that locked in his much-hyped fight with none other than Mike Tyson.
Sign the contract, big boy. Sign the contract.
No problem. Saturday, July 20th. See you there, buddy.
Yes, the Mike Tyson, a man whose very name sends shivers down the spines of even the toughest fighters. But instead of sticking to his word, Jake found himself tangled up in a mess of rumors and whispers that he might actually cancel the fight. And why? Because Tyson's demands were apparently a bit too much for our YouTube sensation turned boxer to handle. Now let's talk about those demands, because let me tell you, Tyson isn't exactly the kind of guy who sugarcoats things. This is the dude who once bit off a chunk of someone's ear. He doesn't play around. Tyson made it crystal clear this fight was going to be on his terms, and his terms alone. We're talking KO only rules, meaning the only way this fight could end was with one of them lying flat on the canvas. No technicalities, no referee jumping in to save the day, just pure unfiltered boxing mayhem. But wait, there's more. Tyson also wanted random drug tests. Yep, he wasn't leaving anything to chance. He wanted to make sure this fight was as clean and fair as possible. No excuses, no funny business. Dana White, the president of the UFC, had publicly accused Jake Paul of using steroids, a claim that sent shockwaves through the sports world. White, who knows the inner workings of the fight game better than almost anyone, didn't make these accusations lightly. His words carried weight, and Tyson knew it.
I believe that you're a cheater, and I believe that you use steroids. So I want to randomly steroid test you.
Tyson was telling the world that he took these accusations seriously, and he wasn't about to let Jake Paul get away with anything. The introduction of these tests added a new layer of pressure on Jake, one that he hadn't anticipated. This wasn't just about facing Tyson in the ring. It was about proving to the world that he was clean, that his victories were legitimate, and that he wasn't relying on anything other than his own abilities. For Jake Paul, this wasn't just another bout to add to his growing list of wins. This was the ultimate test, the moment where he'd prove whether all that talk, all that swagger was backed up by anything real. But with Tyson's demands looming over him, that bravado started to crack like an egg under pressure, and just like that, the rumors started flying. Jake might actually back out of the fight. The fearless internet sensation, scared of a little old KO rules, say it ain't so.
They clowned me. They laughed at me my whole career. I've always been the underdog. Always. No one's ever believed in me, had my back. No one's ever, said I was going to be the one. I was always, mid-level, mediocre, this, that, and the other thing. And boxing finally gave me the lane and the avenue where I was undeniable. based off of how good and how hard I worked is how far I could get. And I think that's an inspiring story to anyone out there. But what can they say now? First of all, the biggest fight of the 21st century, up there with Mayweather McGregor on Netflix.
As these rumors swirled, it became pretty clear that this wasn't just about legal mumbo-jumbo or a simple breach of contract. No, this was about something much bigger. Jake Paul's fear of facing Tyson on an even playing field. For years, Jake had built up this image of being untouchable, the guy who could take on anyone and walk away with his head held high. But now that image was taking a serious hit. The mere thought that Jake might be too chicken to face Tyson, that was enough to make everyone, fans, critics, you name it, start to question everything they thought they knew about him. And let's not forget the impact on Jake's reputation. Up until now, he had managed to skate through every controversy with a mix of boldness and some seriously crafty PR. But this was different. This was supposed to be his crowning moment, the fight, where he'd finally step into the ring with a true legend and show the world that he wasn't just a big mouth with a YouTube channel, but instead it's turning into the moment where everything starts to unravel. In a desperate bid to control the damage, Jake's trying to shift gears, going from his usual tough guy act to playing the victim card. He's out here claiming that all these lawsuits against him are just a load of crap.
Me for something I didn't do. Like, on God, it's just the most bullshit thing. And I literally had to pay them a lot of money.
This is a far cry from Jake Paul, who used to brag about his wealth and success at every opportunity. But let's be real, Jake's financial troubles are no joke. That breach of contract he's tangled up in it comes with a fine so massive it's left him reeling. And we're not talking pocket change here. Word on the street is that the amount is so astronomical, even Jake, with all his millions, is struggling to wrap his head around it. There's even talk that he might have to dig into his family's wealth to pay it off. For a guy who's always flaunted his riches as proof of his success, this reality check has got to sting. And this financial hit isn't just about money, it's about Jake's pride. The man who's always acted like he's got more money than he knows what to do with is now faced with the very real possibility of losing it all. The irony is almost too much. Jake, who once used his fortune as a shield, is now finding out that even his considerable bank account might not be enough to bail him out of this mess. You've got to wonder if some of those tears are less about the legal trouble and more about watching his empire start to crumble. Jake's attempt to win sympathy is a high-risk move in boxing, where toughness and invulnerability are the currency of the realm. Showing weakness can be a career killer. Fans who once cheered for him might start seeing him as just another pampered celebrity who couldn't handle the heat. And his critics, they're already having a field day with this, using it as proof that Jake Paul was never the real deal, just a poser who got in over his head.
They're suing me for something I didn't do. Like, on God, it's just the most bullshit thing. And I literally had to pay them a lot of money. But yeah, and then I wake up the next day and like have a phone call like with my lawyers for one of the lawsuits.
Told you, pussy. Must be your first time.
Come on over here.
Sign the contract, big boy. Sign the contract.
No problem. Saturday, July 20th. See you there, buddy.
I believe that you're a cheater, and I believe that you use steroids. So I want to randomly steroid test you.
They clowned me. They laughed at me my whole career. I've always been the underdog. Always. No one's ever believed in me, had my back. No one's ever, said I was going to be the one. I was always, mid-level, mediocre, this, that, and the other thing. And boxing finally gave me the lane and the avenue where I was undeniable. Based off of how good and how hard I worked is how far I could get. And I think that's an inspiring story to anyone out there. But what can they say now? First of all, the biggest fight of the 21st century, up there with Mayweather McGregor on Netflix.
You calling me for something I didn't do. Like, on God, it's just the most bullshit thing. And I literally had to pay them a lot of money.